And that win for Arsenal means that they end the weekend again top of the Premier League table. They are 2 points clear of Manchester City and they're looking very comfortable. Chelsea, meanwhile, after that defeat, are on 21 points. They are 13 points behind the league leaders, but only 5 points behind Tottenham and fourth spot. For Arsenal, though, they are top of the pile once again at the end of the weekend, and Mikel Arteta was asked if they're serious title challengers.
Do something. Just look at the last 6 years what Manchester City has done. With the best man in the world, with the best team in the world, they've shown it consistently in every single competition, and we have to be very, very respectful of that. We are getting much better as a team. We are competing much better. We are getting really good results right now, but this is a long shot.
You're in contention.
We are today, but in football today and tomorrow is very difficult, so let's enjoy tonight.
Well, it has been a fantastic weekend yet again for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta playing down Arsenal's chances of winning the title, but for very sensible reasons, which I think probably would echo kind of what we feel in the studio, which is to say that, yes, at the moment, they look like real title contenders, but anything could happen.
There's nothing better, and it might be contrary to what people think, than your manager coming out in public and all them players in the Arsenal dressing room sitting there watching your manager say we're title contenders. They want to hear that. You really do. A lot of people might say, well, it puts more pressure on. That's what you're in the game for. You're in the game for this pressure, not pressure finishing in the top four anymore for Arsenal. We got so close and they blew it last year. They got an opportunity here to win the title. Now, do I think they're going to do it? No, because I think Man City are so strong. They've got Haaland, which makes them even stronger. Like Mikel said there, they've got Pep Guardiola, who's the best manager in the world. But they're in it. They're in it. And, we're after 15 games at the top of the league. And will they strengthen again? They've got to win one more game. They go into Christmas top of the league. Why shouldn't they strengthen? But I tell you a good indication of why I don't think. Their two best players are Zinchenko and Jesus, and they've come from Man City. It says everything. The City are just a level above everyone. But if you can just stay in there, I think they're built of different stuff now. I think he has put this team together. I think the style is magnificent. They're brave. They trust him. And the camaraderie there, you see him after the game. It's easy to have that camaraderie when you win every week. But the togetherness of the group, you can almost close your eyes and pick their team. You know exactly where they are. He's got a system, what suits that group of players. And I think he's going in the right direction. Why not?
It's more about the challenge, isn't it, rather than actually aiming for the title and thinking we're favourites to win this. And staying in it next weekend, going into the break for the World Cup, is so big for Arsenal.
It's massive, but Tim just said the word there. They have an opportunity. What you've seen with the Premier League for recent years is that two teams typically run away with it. And we're seeing that at the moment now. These are two teams that are the standard bearers of the league. I can't count many teams that would want to play Arsenal. I think that Arsenal will look at the league table and feel like we're confident we can get results. They've shown this season, as you mentioned, grit, something that we didn't typically think of Arsenal before. They've grinded out results. Against Chelsea, I don't think they were outstanding, but they looked miles ahead. So this is the calibre of machine that they've built now. And you're going into a World Cup where you've got this club that's exciting, young players, there's a real balance there. There's so many players that will look at that team and be like, I like what they've got going on. I might, don't call them, call Arteta. I might want to go there instead. So the opportunity is there. When Leicester won the league, they sniffed the opportunity. When Spurs have been in contention, they sniffed the opportunity. A challenge doesn't mean you're going to win the league, but as you've mentioned, how long can you be in contention? If you keep winning games and City are playing, chasing up to you, you never know how long this can go for, but they are a really good side. I was really impressed by what I saw, because so many of those profiles, I look at people like Xhaka that completely reformed. You look at someone like Ben White playing right back, world-class performance. Everything works so well. And when you look at them compared to Chelsea and where Chelsea were after the Win Champions League, you would have never thought this would be the situation where one team is challenging for a title and the other one looks in the wilderness.
But of course this season is unlike any other, and it's a different experience for most players, other than those who play in the Africa Cup of Nations, because they're used to these season-long breaks for international competitions. But for Arsenal, is this a good time to have a break to kind of get their players, or do they want to keep that momentum going? They would want to keep playing as long as they could into the season, wouldn't they?
That's such a good question, Kelly, because I think when you see the end of games, I've heard some nonsense about they're over-celebrating and it's only Fulham or it's only this club or it's only that club. But the fact is that they're building up momentum. Every game they chalk off, particularly the games where people believe they're going to come unstuck. They're managing to get the win, defy the critics and build up. Keep, obviously, in that position. And you gave the stat the other day that no team with their points at this stage of the season has ever finished outside the top two, which is just a frightening stat.
They all but one have won it, I think.
Newcastle are the only one that didn't win in 95-96, so they got a great chance. But the problem is that City have been the course, they've been the distance. There's a thank you guys behind the scenes for helping me out with this. But you know, they're going great guns and they're staying in there. And I think the consistency of the recruitment is being key. Tim will talk to this far better than me, but you can see at Arsenal a club that is on the same page in terms of bringing the players in terms of the profile of the players that they want. Young players who are going to hang on the manager's every word rather than older players who feel they'd seen it and done it, and they backed him to get those players out last season, and the documentary of course gave us the context of that. I think they've got a great shout. What I do think they need is another midfielder, just in case they get an injury to Partey. I'd like to see them get more up front so that if they were to lose Jesus, they would have someone else to come in and maybe pick up the baton. And Jesus as well, he needs to start scoring again because he hasn't scored now for 7 games in a row. If he can get among the goals and they can get those players in, I don't think they'll win it. I think City will win it, but I think they'll be there at the end.
On that though as well, I feel like if they can put together winning streaks, that would be the difference, because we've seen it with City, we've seen it with Liverpool, these crazy 10, 11 game winning streaks where before the game was even played, they've won the game essentially. That is the difference, because we've seen it where there might be a draw and then City will go and win the games. And as we said, it's been a compressed fixture list. You never know what your opponent's going to do. They could, we've seen City vulnerable this year at various different points. So they are within this title race. I know some of their fans will probably shy away from it because they think humiliation is coming, but there's nothing wrong with being in a race.
The only thing I'd add to that is that City, October, November, December, January, City really go into overdrive. And they do put together those runs. But not only do they put together those runs, they score 3s and 4s. I think they scored 4 goals or more on 17 occasions or something ridiculous last season. And they can do that. But if Arsenal keep winning, the 3 points obviously means that they're within range and they can do something.
I believe they can win it. I think in that dressing room, Kelly, the players think they can win it. They got more belief than the fans, than the pundits, than anyone. They really trust each other. They know they're going to need a little bit of luck. I've been in that position before, when someone at the top is so far ahead and won it for so many years. Manchester United, the team who we chased down, we believed in the dressing room and our manager believed that we would win the league. No one else gave us a chance, but we managed to do it. I think Arsenal can manage to do it. I think, you know why? Because it's that element of trust, what he gives to his players, the way he sets them out with that brave mentality to go toe-to-toe with who they play. They played in that North London derby and they give Tottenham a footballing lesson. They go to Chelsea at the bridge, they play on the front foot. They dictate the game, control the football match is what he's looking for all of the time. Trust the process. I think this guy is taking them there. I think they trust the manager and the manager trusts the players, so why not? They just need to stay in it for as long as they possibly can.
Sorry, you don't mind if I ask?
Never. Never mind.
I do.
You'd like to put your question through me, I'll ask him.
Well, Blackburn, when did you start to believe you could win?
Well, we thought we could in the dressing room. We finished 4th in the first year. Then we finished 2nd, and I think that year we believe we can go one step further. But everyone else was still saying, well, no, it's be very difficult to beat this Man United team. They beat everyone, you know, the superstars. But we believed it, and we never listened to the noise. We didn't listen to everyone. We listened to our manager, who's been course and distance, who's done it before. The difference is, these Arsenal teams, they bought experience now of winners. You know, the likes of Zinchenko, the likes of Jesus, who I mentioned, they've done it. They know how to get over the line. I don't think their squad is as weak as what we think. I really don't. I do think they need to go and buy 3 players, and it's who you get. It doesn't have to be a fortune. It's about who you're going to get. because and keep their players fit is a key solution to it. I think we managed to do that. 11, we fancied our 11 could beat anyone, and I think we kept them fit enough for a long period of time to get us in the hunt for the championship. And I think that's what Mikel will be looking for. You can't write it off. He has to give them that belief. It's so good to hear a manager come out and put pressure on his dressing room like that, because them boys will be able to deal with it. That's what they're in the game for. It's about pressure.
I like the depth point, because I remember against Forest, Reece Nelson, someone we hadn't seen for ages, comes in, gets 2 goals. Smith Rowe last season got double figures. We haven't seen much of him because he's come back for injury. If he finds that form again, you're laughing. Saka, people said that he didn't start off too well. He's cooking again. The squad's been managed really well, and they've done really well around the injuries they've had as well. And I know we're giving Arteta credit for what he's done with his players, but I think you have to give the club credit as well, because we talk about managers and trusting the process. There's been so many times in this tenure where you thought the curtain calls here. Yeah. It's time to call it. But they stuck through it. He made the difficult decisions. He rode out the negative, hard part. And they're reaping the benefits right now of being in a position where they are legitimate title contenders, which is something many people would have never thought would have happened this quickly.
On that head-to-head battle as well, the Arsenal players will have watched the Manchester City game the day before, and they will have seen City drawing 1-1 right up until the last few minutes of the game. They get a penalty. They get not a hotly disputed penalty, but one that if you were partisan, you might be a little bit disgruntled about, or the sending off. And then you think, Haaland comes on. He gets the goal disallowed. The emotions, you're thinking, this is it, they're going to drop points. And then Haaland, of course, scores the penalty late on in the game to win it for Manchester City. The reason I mention that is the context in which Arsenal got that win against Chelsea, with all that pressure and all that emotion that had happened in the build-up.
I think they clear their minds. They dust themselves down. They say, because that takes.
But that's important.
It's really important for people to realise how much emotion that takes out of you. Because you're an Arsenal player, you've got your eye on the title. Don't forget about the noise of we've not got no chance. In that dressing room, they believe they can win it. They're watching Man City and they're saying, any point, no matter if it's now or later on in the season, we'll take a drop point, because it pushes us away. And for them to clear their minds, take the disappointment of them taking maximum points, and go into a London derby, huge London derby, with Chelsea on a low, looking to bounce back. The performance, what they give, and the way they played, and the way they went about it, and because it was different types. First half, they popped it around lovely, found the extra man, they were overloading down the sides, and then they had to dig in at the end and they had to fight it out, and they come through, and they ticked both boxes. So, look, they're in it. In their dressing room, they believe they're in it. Mikel secretly believes they're in it, but he knows exactly where he's come from, and he knows how strong the team are. They were serial winners of this league. It'd be great for the Premier League if they managed to do it.
I think
that's coming
great.
from a Tottenham.
I think it'd be great for the Premier League, even if they run this superb Man City side close, because we've got a title race. For us in newspapers, it's fantastic. It's a subplot. We thought it was going to be a procession. Suddenly we've got a title race, but it's not.
The student.
Absolutely, the master versus the student. All of the subplots that we thought. Of all the subplots we thought we would have, we didn't think it would be the apprentice against the master, but suddenly that's what we've got. You might be able to do this instead of me.
If it's not them, Darren, if it's not Arsenal, have we not got a title race?
No, I don't think
If it's not Arsenal, who's it going to be?
Exactly, and because
I think Newcastle will be the biggest show.
Well,
and the reason I say that, not because they're in third position, of course because they're in third, but
come January,
because there's no Champions League, there's no Europa League, they're going to strengthen, they're going to be third if they win this weekend, they'll be at least third going into Christmas. It's an opportunity.
Well, do you know what? I think you make a great point. Both teams, Arsenal and Newcastle. I think about Spurs in, I think it was 2011. You might be able to correct me. But Harry Redknapp had them within range at the turn of the year. He goes into the January transfer window. He says, I want Carlos Tevez, I want Gary Cahill. And instead he gets Ryan Nelson and he gets Luis Saha, and they fall away. And when I talk about the window in January, that's what I'm talking about. If you are within range, you've got to bring in quality. If you have the opportunity, you've got to take it, because you don't know whether that opportunity will come again. And obviously Liverpool having a poor season, Man United are not where they want to be yet, and Chelsea were alarmingly poor yesterday, and I think they're quite some way away. So Newcastle have got a real chance to be ahead of where they wanted to be, or where they expected to be, if they were to go big in the transfer window and bring in another striker who can maybe give them 15, 20 goals. I like Osimhen, I like Sesko. There are so many good players in the window. If they can bring in a striker and another midfielder, they've got a real chance of building on what you're saying.
There's two things that make me smile about this. It's that if you look at Newcastle and Arsenal and you look at sort of the market of players they'll be looking at, it's probably the same market, which makes it really interesting because it's, do you go for the proposition on this side or do you go for the proposition on that side? Because they're both very different places at the moment, both exciting. At the same time, you've got a World Cup, and we've seen it many a time where you see a World Cup, stand-up performers, get the big move, not the right signing. So you have to be really careful. This is where the recruitment people in your team make the big bucks, because you have to get the right profile for what Arteta's looking for what Eddie Howe's looking for. And I guess in Newcastle's situation, it's so interesting because their early recruitment was very different to what they're going to shift to now. So it'll be interesting to watch both those teams operate in January and see how far they can actually go. But it is a good shout to put Newcastle just a dark horse maybe.
There's always a risk, though, in the transfer market. Chelsea took a bit of a risk in bringing in a former Arsenal player, and some people might have thought that he would be the key player. It was his time to shine yesterday, wasn't it, Maiwa?
It was supposed to be, but the lights were a bit bright, unfortunately. Yeah, this is not...
Today is the day, was your prediction.
It's your day of reckoning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I got the day wrong on that one, to be fair. It was...
It didn't work out for him, did it?
It didn't.
And there's a lot been made of the number of touches that Aubameyang had in the game. Now, if you're Erling Haaland, you might have that number of touches and score 2 goals. Yeah. If you're Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, I can't speak today. If you're Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, not necessarily going to be the case. It was about his all-over contribution rather than number of touches.
100%. I think when you're looking at where Chelsea are now, with our record against Arsenal in recent years, with just how we are as a team, you're looking at the team and you're thinking someone needs to stand up today and put a count. Ultimately, you look at the person that was the former captain of that team, I need you to show something. And that performance, it wasn't a performance of what you would expect from Aubameyang. It's ironic because when you speak to Arsenal fans, they'll tell you, we've seen this performance far too many times in big moments from Aubameyang, and that was the sort of sticky position about bringing someone like him in, because he has shown that this can be what happens. You look at the performance yesterday, or just in general, like 1 goal in the last 6 appearances. It's not what you need of a Chelsea striker. If you go back to last season, it was at 8 touches. Lukaku did 7 touches, and the whole fan base lost their rag because this is not what we expect of a striker. So it wasn't great, but the whole team wasn't great. You made the point about how Arsenal played in the first half. 4 passes, they're taking a shot at goal. Chelsea will take maybe 16 passes and Mendy still has the ball. You can see one team that's full of confidence, know what they're doing and know where they want to go. And you've got another team that's in a state of flux, short of confidence and really doesn't know what they expect for the season.